Welcome to First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. I'm your host, James Gardner, certified athletic therapist, certified strength and conditioning specialist, yoga instructor, human being. This platform, for the pros, by the pros, anybody in the performance space, and beyond. Welcome here to share in the stories of professionals, experiences, journeys, learning along the way. It's a platform to connect, to network, and to be a part of a community that cares, with conversations that matter, experiences that resonate, and generate ideas, thought-provoking, organic dialogue, passionate pros. Brought to you as always by First Star Therapy, Mobility Tape, Epic, and Benchmark Athletics, in association with the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association. It's First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being a part of it. All right, so there we go. We are being recorded, but we are live. We have a live audience here for session 100 of Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. Our guest tonight, Carl Bombardier of the Arizona Coyotes. And before I get to his official bio and his story, really excited to jump back in here live. To be honest, it's been about a month since our last live session. It's session 100, which we just talked about in the preamble. Pretty special, nice round number. And then we're going to tip over the other side and see what we can come up with. But again, Carl's introduction to follow. I'm really excited, firstly, because you, Carl, you're here, man. You're our guest tonight, and without a doubt offer plenty in the way of knowledge and experience and passion. Secondly, because an unofficial announcement that this podcast is in the process of being or becoming the official podcast of WFAT, which is the World Federation of Athletic Training and Therapy. That'll be announced officially in about a couple weeks out in Winnipeg at the World Congress. And lastly, to offer our listeners a 10% discount off of one of our sponsors and a close friend of mine's amazing products. That's Epic, EPOCH. Unmatched whey and protein products, as well as high-end training equipment and apparel. You can find them on Instagram at live.epic and online at yourepic.com. Use discount First Star, that's FIRSTAR, at checkout for 10% off all of their stuff. Thanks to Jason for that. As always, this podcast is brought to you by First Star Therapy, Benchmark Athletics, Mobility Tape, and Epic, in association with the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association. A preamble to get to the main course. Carl Bombardier is the Director of Sports Nutrition Coach with the Arizona Coyotes in the NHL. He utilizes cutting-edge approaches entangled in evidence-based protocols to optimize nutrition suited to individual athlete needs in the name of performance. With a background and certification as a strength and conditioning coach as well, he has vast experience, including time with the Seattle Seahawks and the NFL, Texas Tech University, Clemson University, the Oakland Raiders, UC Berkeley, and in minor league baseball. He owns a Master of Science in Nutrition and Integrative Physiology from the University of Utah, earned his bachelor's in exercise science and dietetics, which is always a tough word for me. I practiced that 1,000 times, still got it wrong, from the University of Wisconsin Stout. And again, with our live audience here and for everybody listening, thank you for being here. But Carl, thank you for carving this into your day. I know you had a bit of a long one at the rink or at the office. Welcome aboard, man. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. So I'm really pumped for the 100th episode. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And what a background, like all these different places, all these different sports. I'd love to get into all of it, but start with kind of where this began for you, your background, and sort of how did you get into nutrition? How did you get into performance? Where did that begin? And I think what really resonates with a lot of our listeners is kind of navigating our own way and seeing how that came to be, and then some life lessons along the way. Obviously, lots of background, lots of different places, and we can take this wherever you want. But where did the interest start?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally I'm from Quebec, Canada. So if I sound a little bit funny, well, I'm French Canadian. So that's mainly why. But yeah, I grew up playing hockey, and that's why the tooth is still missing to this day. But it gives me a little bit more credibility with the hockey guys, so I just rock with it. But yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Valcourt. It's Sherbrooke, by Sherbrooke, if anybody's familiar with Quebec. And then, yeah, grew up, played AAA in that area. And then I did 1 year of CJEP in Quebec City, where I also played hockey. And then hockey took me to Manitoba, where I played 3 years of juniors. So I did my juniors in Manitoba. Then I went to Wisconsin State, where I played collegiate hockey, Division III. But yeah, so, and after that, I did my master's at the University of Utah, and that's kind of where I got exposed to big time Power 5 programs, because the school I went to before, D3 school, not a lot of resources. And I went to, again, the University of Utah, which have, Power 5 football and all those sports. I got exposed to, again, football, tennis, basketball, soccer. So I was very, very fortunate to meet people along the way that kind of helped me develop my passion for the field. It mainly come from, so again, I was an athlete, and then when I was growing up, I was pretty chubby. So when I started training, it was my first love. So I started training in one hockey season. I lost about, I would say, 15, 20 pounds. I got faster, stronger, and that's kind of where I fell in love with strength conditioning. But it wasn't until I went to undergrad in the US, kind of hearing more about sports nutrition. I did a summer internship at Meals on Wheels in Dallas, Texas. And my preceptor there was like, hey, have you ever heard about sports nutrition? You like sports, you like the training aspect of things. And at that time, I met a lady named Amy Goodson, and she was working 4 different teams. So, fast forward to today, that would definitely not happen. But she was working with the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, FC Dallas, and the Texas Rangers. So 4 professional teams she was working with, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. But it opened up my eyes to something I wasn't familiar with, which was sports nutrition. And then that's where my last year of undergrad, I did all my nutrition classes to be able to get to that master's degree at the University of Utah. And yeah, just using hockey as a segue for me to get to the US. And then I always wanted to go there and kind of explore. I love traveling. And then, once I get to my master's, and obviously everything got extrapolated from from a sports perspective and budget and all that. So right when I graduated, I was already working in minor league baseball. I was with the Angels organization, was in Oakland for a year. And then the beauty of sport, everybody got fired in the season, me included. Got a new coach in, so I got the boot. But then I spent 6 months in New Zealand, which I don't think that's on my resume, but I spent some time playing hockey and rugby there also, and working on private practice and PE classes, teaching hockey and all that stuff. And then I came back to the US with Clemson. But yeah, so that's kind of where I fell in love with the field, kind of being a fat kid, knowing I can change someone's body, and hopefully I can be, if there's any other fat kids listening right now, don't give up. There's hope. But no, that's where my passion came in. And obviously, again, very, very fortunate to have met people along the way that wanted to help me out reaching my goal to, if you can make it to the NHL as a player, hopefully you can make it as a staff member. And I was, again, very fortunate that this year was the year that everything fell into place. And, I was in the US for a little bit, so I got exposed to football before. So anytime you get the chance to work in the NFL, even if you don't make a lot of money and you have to take intern roles, I thought it was all worth it.
Yeah, and some awesome life lessons along the way. You learn from your own experiences, and I think you touched on it right away with a missing tooth and sort of being credible with athletes in the hockey space is I mean, how much does that play a role? Because you and I have both worked in multiple places, multiple professions, whether that's college or pro or football or basketball or baseball, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes it's hard to integrate into those environments if you don't have the background, the knowledge, the understanding, how to relate to the athletes. You can be the best physiologist, but not be able to relay that. You can be the best nutritionist. Have you found that's really advantageous for you as a professional to be able to sort of know the sport and know when and how to speak with the athletes?
Yeah, I would say, growing up playing sports, I think being in a locker room environment really helps you understand the dynamic, from being on a 10 game losing streak to, losing your key guys. Like, I think it really helps you understanding all those little components that guys pick on. But I got to say, again, working with football and basketball, sports that are, predominantly African-American athletes, it was really good for me because, you know, you come in, you got to find a way to relate to these dudes, right? So whether it's like, you know, what's the latest hip hop hit from Lil Baby or whatever music to listen to, just being able to, you know, talk their languages, where they're coming from, you know, learning about their families and all that. Those are all little things that, you know, at the end of the day, if the athletes can relate to you for whatever reason, it's going to be really, really helpful, like you said. And obviously the missing food is one thing. And I would say what it helps me out the most is athletes understand, you know, the playing juniors where like you live with a billet family, which is very hockey specific, right? I would say that like the little things like that, traveling on the bus where you might be doing 6 to 8 hours of like, you know, bus trip. It's not always easy to find decent food when you're on the road with, you know, 30 other players and staff in the middle of Saskatoon. Like you got to do pit stop anywhere you can get. So I would say those are more of the things that I believe that guys are like, oh yeah, like he's been through it and he understands like we're not gonna eat 5-star meals every time, but how can I reach that gap or help them prepare better for those situations they're being exposed to?
Yeah, and I think this is it, right? Like seeing inside the pro space, seeing inside the junior space in the hockey world. I haven't been necessarily there on the buses in the hockey world, but it's not necessarily from the outside looking in. Sometimes people think, oh, they're perfect, they do everything perfectly, they don't do this, they don't do that. You and I both know it's not necessarily about being perfect, but about minimizing massive drop-offs or massive changes. Is that a fair statement when it comes to sort of optimizing nutrition in this space as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, nutrition of all the spaces, I think, is the one that everybody thinks they know what they're doing because everybody eats,
yeah.
Right? So it's like, oh yeah, well, I mean, I eat that, so you should eat the same. It's very interesting because nutrition can really be simple, but when you go deep down in all the mechanism that makes your body move and run and all the energy systems, like they can get pretty complex. So my job is to be able to get all that information, all research-based information, to my athletes and dumb it down to why this is going to be helpful for them, right? So yeah, I would agree that being able to minimize, again, damage control is one of the main things I do, really troubleshooting, and that's why I'm very fortunate. I'm probably one of the only few dietitians that gets to travel with the team everywhere they go. But it helps me help the guys out when they wake up and they have a stomach bug, or they're in between periods and they're hungry, or they're feeling like they're gassed but they don't know what to take. So yeah, again, kudos to my high performance director, Devin McConnell, that lets me tag along everywhere I go. But yeah, I would say, yeah, being able to relate to these dudes, knowing how it is on the road, especially at a younger level when they're a prospect, right? We're about to get in that period in the summertime where we're going to have development camp. So being able to like get these guys to the grocery store, what do you need to put in their grocery carts? Bring them to a cooking class so they can do that when they're on their own, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's the difference with, you know, what some of the stuff you guys do with athletic training and strength conditioning. You might get these guys 1 or 2 hours a day, but nutrition is literally a 24-hour process. So my goal is to be able to equip them with the knowledge and the tools that as soon as they leave the facility, they know what to do, where to go, how to feed for themselves. And you know what? They're going to be athletes for maybe, you know, if they're lucky, a third of their life. But after that, they still need to live. So I need to be able to equip them with all that knowledge to help them out.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I just sort of making a bunch of notes here as you talk, and there's a lot of different language and a lot of overlap here. And I think in my space and transitioning through from sort of being an immature practitioner to, I guess, now an aging and mature or partly mature practitioner, equipping athletes, equipping human beings and empowering them to be in charge of what's going on is a massive part of the process. It's not about you dictating or you cutting their meals for them and then putting it into their mouth, but it's the old saying, sort of teach a man to fish, right? And this is the idea. Empower people to be able to control and take control of what they can on the road. And I love that sort of damage control and troubleshooting, and you're on the road. So that's a piece I'd love to touch on, because that doesn't happen everywhere. But that's obviously, in my eyes, symbolic of an integrative model where they see value in what you bring to the table as a practitioner, somebody who's part of the team, without giving away sort of any secrets within the Coyotes organization. But you feel like there's a lot of receptivity amongst staff members, so the trainers, the strength coaches, your role as a nutrition coach. Do you guys meet regularly? How does that flow work? Is it a model that's in progress, or is it pretty well established in terms of what you're doing?
Well, yeah, and absolutely. We don't really have any secrets, so I'm more than happy to share. But we meet every morning, and again, to pick from what my director of live performance always says, like, we're just trying to speak the same language. Because especially a good example for this year, like, I love learning, and that's the reason why when you look at my resume, I've been to a lot of places. It's not because I suck or I got fired all the time, but it's more like, especially nutrition, when I was in New Zealand, I literally had to, take something from scratch with zero budget. Right. But the rink we were in had a kitchen upstairs. That's a huge tool for me to be able to have a kitchen right at the rink, right? So that was amazing. But depending on your setup, everything's going to be different. So this year, for example, being able to learn from Devin and Mitch, our head strength guy, COVID happened, and people, including staff and players, had to miss games or had to miss work. So I was lucky enough that I love sports science, and I was able to pick Devin's brain on catapult and see how it operates. So there was actually one trip where Devin couldn't make that trip. I ended up going there and being able to do the catapult for him, right? Just because I acquired that knowledge, and he was open to sharing all of that stuff with me. The same happens where there's one trip where I had to come back with our injured guys that got injured in St. Louis. So that leaves us, it left us with one game on the road where I wasn't able to do what I typically do. Right. But all their performance staff are around me enough that they know, like, okay, well, shakes need to be done. Shakes need to be done after the game, right? You're going to use, beef protein, whey protein, plant protein. These are the guys that are going to be planned. These are the guys that are going to do X, Y, and Z. Clay and Taylor, like, just before the game, Angel Strawman might like something else. We could prep all that stuff for them. And then that's how we receive the food. That's how we place it on the table. Everything labeled for the guys that have specific dietary requirements. Because, the same thing happens when I have clients that I work with for a specific amount of time. My goal is honestly to be able to be hands off, where, like, if you don't need my help, like, I did a good job, because you know what to do and when to do it and how to do it. So like you mentioned earlier, self-sufficiency is big for our team here. We want the guys to be able to come in the weight room, use the force plates on their own. Once they're done, they go to their fuel bar. They're able to make their own shakes, know what's in it. But yeah, that's a big thing for us, and being able to all speak the same language, and because obviously everything intertwines. It's not anymore where, like, okay, well, rehab is this person, nutrition is this person, strength conditioning is this person. We're really trying to make an effort where, like, okay, well, we're on the cusp of having this guy out of the training room and in the weight room. Let's work together until he's all S&C. And then, nutrition is kind of like the same thing along the way, where, like, when you're in rehab, the needs will be a little bit different, right? We want to make sure we keep lean body mass on somebody, make sure the guys don't gain too much weight and all that. And then once they go back to training, well, obviously it looks different, right? So yeah, and I'm happy to do it with hockey guys, which, again, I work with a lot of different sports. No, I might be biased, but it's probably one of the best athletes or best population to work with.
Yeah, no, amazing. And I think sort of the nutrition piece is woven throughout. So where you can fit in and understand force plates, or the S&C side of things, or the rehab side of things, it eliminates this sort of siloed effect of go to him if you need this, go to her when you need
Absolutely.
that. But it allows the flow to happen nicely, and nutrition is woven throughout. And I think that part is critical. And so just in terms of injury and sort of biasing this to athletic therapy, athletic training, that kind of thing, we get a lot of questions from either people we know or within the training room, within our clubs or organizations. What changes with nutrition? And sort of, you can stay general, we don't need to go specific or anything like that, but generally what would you offer in terms of, okay, there's been an injury, it's an acute injury, it just happened. Does anything change right away from a nutrition standpoint in terms of general principles? You mentioned obviously if it's going to be longer term tracking weight and lean mass and these things, but from an injury standpoint, are there general rules to follow when it comes to nutrition?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you look at the etiology or like where the injury comes from, that's a big thing, right? Like, okay, so yeah, if it's a soft tissue, that's one thing. If it's a broken bone, that's different. You know, if you work with baseball, hockey, MMA, there's going to be mouth injuries or oral injury where guys might get punched in the throat and they can't swallow, or like those are all, or they can chew, right? Those are all things that once you figure out what's the problem, then obviously you can move forward with what's the best way to go about it. Right. So again, if we talk about anthropometrics, obviously we do DEXA scan 3 or 4 times a year, depending on when we get the guys. So obviously we get an exam. We have somewhat of an idea where the guys are body composition wise and weight wise. Again, we not saying that we're overboard with the weights, but at least we have parameters where like, okay, well, if he's about 10 pounds overweight with a knee injury or a foot injury, like that might actually be detrimental to his rehab, right? So we keep that in mind. You know, anything from, let's say, a broken bone. We had one of our best players here break his femur not too long ago. So obviously for him, I want to make sure we get enough enough calories for being able to his body to heal properly, right? You don't want him to be in calorie deficit because obviously since the trauma is there, you want to make sure he eats enough. We want to make the fact that he's going to be immobilized for a little bit and won't be able to move as much. Obviously, you want to bring those calories down, have a high percentage macro-wise of protein. You know, you'll bring your proteins a little bit higher. You'll want to probably bring the carbs down a little bit and make sure you get enough fat for, you know, the ability to produce the hormones he needs to heal. Probably going to look at supplementation from that standpoint. I'm a big, if anybody wants supplements or nutrition advice, creatine is not the devil. Creatine is one of the most researched product that's very helpful from an injury standpoint to keep lean body mass on athletes. So that's one thing that one of them that I usually keep from. Again, if you look at a bone injury, vitamin D, calcium supplementation will probably be huge, especially nowadays. You have a lot of athletes that are trying to stay away from specific food group, whether it's dairy, gluten, anything like that. So you want to make sure, and that's another thing we do blood biomarkers to make sure we know what their levels are at, so that we have a good idea if they need supplementation or not in the first place. I also use HMB and essential amino acids when, you know, same thing. Research has shown that it is helpful to preserve lean muscle mass, especially at the earlier stage when the athletes can really move super well. So I would say those are probably my big, you know, my low-hanging fruit for anything that's, you know, bone injuries or anything that's related to that capacity. Soft tissue, I would say that the main difference is you want to probably hop on the collagen a little bit. I know there's a lot of, like, collagen is kind of a hot topic right now. There's promise, there's show that collagen is really helpful for those athletes with soft tissue problems. It's just a matter of figuring out the right one. You want to make sure that all your products are certified, third-party certified, which again, that could be a completely different topic. But collagen will be helpful, mixed with vitamin C. That's going to help with the absorption. So that would be the main thing I would be looking into from the soft tissue injury. Again, creatine is a big one. Omega-3 is one that I like to use as well, just to reduce inflammation, especially those earlier stage. And obviously, it's been shown that for a healthy brain, it's really powerful. And when you work with contact sport with creatine, it's going to help protect from concussions, which, again, that's probably one of the, I would say from all the injuries, I would say concussion is probably one of the ones that I really, it sucks for the athletes, but it's very interesting to me because the whole process on how it happened and the cascade of effects it has is completely different from one individual to the other. So being nerdy like I am, I like to see whenever we test our athletes for blood biomarkers, how that might correlate with the amount of like any incident of brain damage or injuries they had throughout the season, right? But yeah, I would say, from bones to soft tissue, those were probably the two that, again, with the calories, making sure to get enough protein, enough calories. That would probably be in a nutshell. And again, everybody's different depending on their injury. But that's typically where I would start.
Yeah, no, great stuff. And I think just even, summarizing that so nicely and looking back, and you continue to highlight something that's very impressive, and that is that no two athletes are alike. And so you have the advantage of knowing your athletes, and you do so by, asking them about their families, being with them every day, being on the road, being at the rink, doing all those things. But also baselining your athletes. So in terms of a calendar, looking at sort of a hockey season specifically for where you're at right now, generally speaking, looking at sports, you'll have a baseline coming in and you'll have an exit medical. So if we have a season in between there and postseason or not, you have a baseline and an exit. What do you use that baseline? You mentioned blood biomarkers. You mentioned some anthros. And then is there a recommended sort of, we'll do this at the All-Star break, we'll do this a couple times throughout the year. How often are you retesting, and do you look at that as an exit principle as well for the off-season?
Yeah. Well, and this is the first year for me, so a lot of the things I've been trying to implement, nothing is mandatory. I'm always telling the guys, like, hey, the same thing with weigh-ins and weigh-outs, right? Some guys like literally they dread weighing in. It's just like, I'm not judging. I'm just trying to like make sure that your weight doesn't go down or too high during the season, right? So I'm not here to like tell on you, the coaches or whatnot. I'm your advocate. Like, I'm here for you, right? So
that's an important distinction, right? Like athletes and humans need to know that. And so, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but tying that back in, like, there's a big trust factor there as well, that they need to do that, because in the pro sports space, you have a job because of the organization, but you're also indebted to the athletes to provide them with a service. And so you kind of get pulled in both ways as a professional.
Yes.
So
100%. Well, I'll just touch base with that a little bit, just because, like you said, as a support staff member, you kind of always walk that line where, like, okay, well, management wants this, the athletes wants this, and you're kind of in the middle, because I think that most of us are in this space and legitimately think that we're there to help the athletes first and foremost. So I want to make sure that the buy-in and the relationship component is huge for the athletes. And, whether it's whenever I take them to the grocery store and they're like, hey, you want to come home and I'll cook for you, and things like that. Those are little things that, like, heads up for these guys, and seeing your face every day. And it's just like, my question is always like, how you feeling? Like, how you doing? It's never like, hey, we need you to weigh in because, like, the coach told me that we need to weigh in, or that GM wants to know how fat you are. Like, that's never my intention behind this, right? So yeah, as long as these dudes know that you're there, and especially in hockey, guys are not too bad, but like basketball and NFL, like, these guys, if they don't have your trust, like, it's gonna be hard to do anything with these guys, right? So as long as they know that you're taking care of them, then everything you're trying to do is a lot easier. So to reel it back to, again, the things we do throughout the years, like, as soon as they come in, again, the blood biomarkers and all that, it's going to give us an indicator as far as, like, okay, well, what kind of supplements do you need? And from there, it's a long season, NHL, 82 games. We play a lot of games, and we just want to make sure that I think we retested once this year, and I didn't even make it mandatory, but it was cool to see, because some of these guys were like, no, I kind of want to see, like, what you've done with us, like, where it takes us, to the same extent that, like, when we do the force plate jump, we started with a guy that, might have been producing 800 newtons at the start, and now he's like 1200. Like, his power output has been off the chart, right? Things like that. So it's really cool to see when the results come back, to show the guys, like, hey, this is how well you've done, or hey, this is something that we need to still work on. And that's the thing that sometimes guys need to understand. Is just like, even if we do the supplementation right and they do it the right way, they need to do it consistently, because that's the consistency that's going to get them paid. And that's why ultimately, sometimes some of the guys, you need to talk to them in a dollar amount to get their buy-in. Is just like, hey, man, if you're feeling better, the odds are you're going to play better, you're going to score more goals, you're going to get more points. And if you stay here, great, like we want you here. But at the end of the day, my goal is to be able to let you perform at the highest level with the knowledge I have doing what we're trying to do with you from a nutrition standpoint, right? Same thing with the DEXA scan, body composition. Want to make sure that the guys keep their lean tissue on throughout the year. And, kudos to our strength conditioning staff that have been doing a good job. But again, we can't force anybody to do that. So at the start, we got a baseline with, all the stuff we do in the weight room, which we can touch base on that later, but nothing's crazy. We just do the basic stuff. Nutrition wise, we'll do the nutrition biomarker. I also have a nutrition app I use to send all like the recommendations that the guys need from a calorie standpoint and a macro standpoint, whether they want to lose weight, gain weight, or just maintain their weight throughout the year. And that, that's once a week, we'll do the weigh-ins. DEXA, we're doing a third one this month, and that'll be the last one before the summer starts. Afterwards, besides that, like I said, there was another blood biomarker that we did throughout the season. That was totally optional. We probably got a third of the guys to do it. And then, for the exit meeting that we're preparing here because, we didn't do so great this year. So I don't know if you guys want all our secrets because clearly it didn't help us out too much. But so at the end of the year, I'll go over these guys and be like, hey, your vitamin D was low. Here's some of the food you can add to your diet on top of the supplementation you're already doing. Are we trying to lose weight, gain weight, lean muscle mass? What are the goals we're trying to do? I always say, I don't want to, again, if the guys are trying, like our columns are cracks, it's not something I want. So whether their wife's cooking for them, okay, can I send some recipes to your wife? Good, yes, no, whatever it needs. Do you need a chef? Do you need meals to be delivered at your gym? Do you need to know how to cook? You're too cheap. You don't want chefs to cook for you. Then okay, well, let's try to put together a cheap grocery list, and we can repeat the same recipes every day if you want. Give me the days that you're going to train, on the ice, off ice, the intensity, the days you're going to go golf, the days you're going to go drink. The more you tell me, the more I can help you, right? So all that information is going to help me being able to set them up for success at their next physical. Because that's really what we're doing this year. It's like, we know this is a work in progress. We know this is like something we want to do long term. We'll try to establish a little things we want to do, like self-efficacy and all these little things. And then next year, once we go there, okay, now we can go to the second round. Okay, the guys are dialed in on their supplements. Okay, what else can I do to help them out? Okay, well, this guy still can't cook. He still can't use a microwave or a toaster. Okay, well, we need to get this guy some help. So everybody is going to be different, and the approach is going to be personal to whatever their needs are.
Yeah, and this is phenomenal. I mean, I think, again, from people who are outside the space, who are working, say, in a high school setting or a university setting, or with, clients in a clinic or whatever, what you keep highlighting is understanding who's in front of you, regardless of how much you know. And I think what's really important is you've highlighted that, we don't know everything, but the more information we have, the more insight we have, we can identify trends in hopes of making changes or identifying, okay, 10 games into the season, this is what happened. Halfway through the season, you had a little dip, whether that's weight, performance, and we can make some inferences, not necessarily linear thoughts from, your performance dipped and that's directly related to you started eating steak or stopped eating meat. Like, we don't have that necessarily, but you're gathering more and more and more and sort of tying it back to key performance type indicators and key performance inhibitors, the things that are taken away from your performance and the things that are and those are individual. So so some really great stuff. And I'll just highlight again, it's Carl Bombardier here with the Arizona Coyotes, session 100 of Let's Chat this evening. And man, it's great to grab your time. You guys are obviously sort of the back end of the season, 10 games remaining in the season. And you're out here shortly in Vancouver. So it'll be great to sort of have people that are out on the West Coast understand a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes, behind, that's not on the ice, because a lot goes into it. And regardless of wins and losses, those athletes are the highest performers in the world when it comes to the sport. And so to keep them ticking, to keep them moving, to help them recover, nutrition plays a huge role. I want to swing back if you're okay with it and
Yeah.
just touch on your internship opportunities.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of younger listeners, we have a lot of students or new grads that are sort of, I want that job, or I'm not sure, I want to change roles, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to take that job because it doesn't pay enough, or I don't want to do an internship because that's a wasted year of my life where I'm not making money. You had some great internships, the Oakland Raiders, UC Berkeley, right? And I think your minor league stint in baseball was an internship as well. Wherever you want to take that in terms of comparison, contrast, or the value in internships, or maybe it was a waste of time and you should have been earning money. I don't know.
No, honestly, I don't think any of those experiences were a waste of time. Again, I'm very fortunate that I had people in my corner whenever I needed, as far as being able to take me places. Again, growing, I don't know where all you guys are from, as far as all the listeners here, but like again, where I grew up is about 4,000 people, and a lot of them never really go out of there. They'll work on the farm, they'll work in the shop, which is totally fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But looking back, it's kind of crazy. Like I never thought I'd work in the NFL, or I never thought I'd work in the NHL growing up. So to reel it back to the internship position, like a lot of these things I've done were for free, which is, it's never good to do, as especially in our field. I think sometimes a taboo subject where you think you should always get paid and remunerated for whatever you do, which I totally agree. But I also think that you run your own race and you run your own course. If your ambition and career is money driven, then yes, obviously try to find a place where you might be making more money. But just to give you guys an idea, the first gig I did, again, the minor league baseball, I did that for free. I was working at a gym, a hockey gym. I would work from 5 a.m. until 4 p.m. As soon as I got done, I would drive over the baseball stadium and just chill there for 3 to 4 hours, just hanging out with the guys, learning about baseball, because I thought it was boring as hell, obviously, because playing hockey and rugby is like, yeah, everybody just hitting each other. It's fast paced, but then I love learning about the game and like the mentality of I would hang out with the pitchers because they love coffee, and I would make a coffee shake for them. And then you start talking to them and they start talking about the pitching, but not only that, they start talking about their performance. They start talking about their habits. And that's, when you steer away the conversation to something else, sometimes you just reel it back in, and it's like you get to learn a lot when you listen. I always say, no matter where I went, I was all trying to just be a good listener, because I was able to be surrounded by very, very intelligent people and brilliant minds that I knew if I was able to be with them in the same room for a couple hours a day, like that would mean my growth would be tremendous. And that's really what I am as a person. I love learning, and all those little spots. So when I went to Oakland, just to give you guys an idea, if you think Vancouver is expensive to live in, Oakland, California, which is, again, actually I was a little bit more north. I was in Kensington, California, which is right by UC Berkeley. I was capped at 30 hours a week at $10 an hour. So to give you guys an idea, I did not make a lot of money. I live with our sports science guy that was from Australia. Awesome dude. Learned so much from him. Again, just being with the sports scientist for him was like a blessing, because I could pick his brain after we were done with work, and he would always tell me to shut up, because I was like, we're done with work here, like let's move on to something else. But yeah, I didn't make a lot of money, but what I had done is I took the most out of that opportunity, and being able to work in the NFL right out of my master's degree was a huge opportunity. And as soon as I knew I was moving to California, I reached out to Stanford and UC Berkeley, and I was like, hey, do you guys need somebody part-time? I'm already moving for the Oakland Raiders. Obviously, I had the education, I had the resume, good experience, good mentors, good references. And they're like, both of them replied back to me within, I guess, a day or two. And then I ended up going to UC Berkeley because it was literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes from where I live. Yeah. And that got me exposed to something else. And then, one weekend, my director actually had to leave she was gone for a whole weekend because she had to go back for family reasons to Colorado. And she was like, hey, do you want to work the football game this weekend? So I ended up going with the team to the hotel, helped them out the night of, went to the game, which was like a huge honor for me, because obviously I was like, wow, she trusts me with her program. This is amazing. So again, everybody has to work hard in her field, but I do think that if you put yourself in situations to be successful, and you do work hard and you do show that you want to learn and get better at things, then our doors are going to open for you, and it's your job to be able to go in and open them up and or kick the door down, I guess. But yeah, from the Oakland Raiders, like obviously it was used for my resume. Funny enough, I got an offer to work with the Pittsburgh Pirates full time, and I turned it down to go to New Zealand because I was like, you know what, I've been in Power Five for a little bit. I've seen the NFL. I want to do something completely different. I always wanted to play hockey overseas, so I used the sport of hockey like I've always done. I used the sport to take me to places I'd never thought I'd be going. So again, spending 6 months on the South Island of New Zealand, got to travel, got to work with a completely different culture. Obviously, the English was the primary language, but I drove on the opposite side of the road, got exposed to completely different foods, zero money in pro sport. Then I got bored because people were too laid back, got back to the US. But again, as an intern at Clemson, because again, sometimes it doesn't fall into places. And I remember as soon as I got in my car to drive to Clemson, Texas Tech called me for a full-time gig. And I applied for that job 4 months ago. And then I ended up visiting and being there for 2 years. But yeah, again, I'm very fortunate. Got to Texas Tech, learned a ton, working with both football and basketball, which again, I told myself I'd never worked basketball because I hated the sport. And I got to work with these dudes. I'm like, holy crap, like college basketball is unreal. So I got exposed to basketball, and now I still keep track of some of these players that are in the NBA or whatnot. Yeah, so very fortunate. The internship, again, it all depends on what your goals are and what you want to do. For me, it was just a matter of building up my resume, meeting awesome people, being exposed to very great programs, and see very good layouts from a nutrition perspective or weight room perspective. And again, just being able to get on the journey and add to that.
Yeah, and I think this is awesome because I think sharing these stories for younger listeners as well as people who are have been doing the same thing for a long time and are looking to do something different. I was just reading a book today, and it asked the question of when's the last time you did something completely new, something you've never done before, and you should do a lot of those things. Having the forethought to do the things and reach out to people like you did, being proactive and generating your own perspective through gaining as many perspectives as possible and seeing a lot of different fields and a lot of different sports and cultures and all those different things. What an amazing story. I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's the end of a work day. I'd love to get you back on here sometime in the future and sort of a panel and talk a little bit more about, maybe a case study or how we would work through certain injuries or an integrated model type thing like that. But I really appreciate you sharing your story this evening. And, what an awesome journey. It's Carl Bombardier, Arizona Coyotes. I don't know, man, this has been great. And I really appreciate it. I think our listeners truly appreciate this. And I hope this drives home that the integrative space is where it's at. Understanding individuals and who you're working with is the most important piece, no matter how much we know about nutrition or rehab or strength and conditioning. If you don't understand who's in front of you, you're fighting the wrong battle. So I'll let you close this one out, man. I just want to thank the sponsors one more time, and then you can wish everybody good night. But brought to you as always by First Star Therapy, Benchmark Athletics, Epic Mobility Tape, and in association with the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association. It's First Star Let's Chat and Athletic Therapy podcast. Carl Bombardier, Arizona Coyotes. I'll let you say good night. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it was a pleasure and an honor to be on the podcast. I love talking to athletic trainers and anybody that deals with injuries, because I think, again, you guys are a great wealth of knowledge in your own space. If you guys want to connect, again, I'm easy to find. I'll be in BC this summer too. I'll have some hockey camps in Whistler, which is, again, I get the best of both worlds, being in Arizona in the winter and in BC in the summertime. But yeah, again, if you guys have any question, I'm easy to find. It was a pleasure and an honor to be on there.
Yeah, beautiful, man. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to meeting you in person when you're here for the summer as well. So take care. Good luck the rest of the way, and thanks everybody for listening. Tune in soon. We'll have session 101 coming up. We will also be officially the WFAT podcast moving forward as of May, with lots of guests and lots of content coming from the World Congress in Winnipeg, Manitoba, May 5 through 7. Thanks a lot, Carl. Appreciate it. Good night, everybody.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks again for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this community. Check us out online, firststartherapy.com. That's FIRSTAR therapy.com. Or email us with feedback, consult@firststartherapy.com. CONSULT@firststartherapy.com. On Instagram @firststar.therapy, and our podcast host @letschat.at. This is First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast.